We will call this meeting of the Carmel Clay School Board to order. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
All board members are present tonight.
Thank you. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have on the consent agenda that includes personnel report, claims, and payroll. May I have a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Nope, there being none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving consent, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Dr. Dudley, please.
Thank you. This evening on the consent agenda, I am excited to introduce Dr. Rhonda Peterson. She is our new Carmel Clay Schools Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. And Dr. Peterson has 15 years of experience as a curriculum director as well as a principal in Southern Hancock County Schools. She will be joining us on July 1st. She holds a bachelor's degree from Ball State, a master's degree from Indiana Wesleyan, and an educational specialist and a PhD from Indiana State. And through an extensive process, an interview process, Dr. Peterson's knowledge, experience, and student-centered, enthusiastic, and visible leadership style stood out among a field of highly qualified candidates. And so we're so excited to have her join the team. I know she'll be a great member of the Carmel Clay Schools team. So Dr. Peterson, welcome. And if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you. I first of all want to thank you for the opportunity to join this prestigious school district. I'm excited to be joining an all-star lineup here in central office, but most of all, I'm excited to serve the students and the teachers and the community members of Carmel Clay Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. We're looking forward to July 1st. Next on the agenda, we have back some of the DECA members to have our workshop topic, which is continuing with the tagline. I will turn the presentation over to them, or Dr. Beersford.
No, we'll turn it over to the people in charge. So if we like to, we will go down to the tables and participate in the workshop.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Hernay, and this right here are Reagan and Thomas. Reagan is the Vice President of DECA. Thomas is the current President of DECA. And I am the Communications Liaison of the CCS rebranding team, and I call myself the Chief Data Analyst in case you don't remember from last time. Before we continue, I'd like to thank Dr. Beresford for this wonderful opportunity to continue this project today and to go on to our objectives for today, which is to narrow down our top 8 taglines to at most 3 taglines. Now, and before we do that, let me just give you a quick recap of how we got to this point. Early this year, Dr. Beresford introduced the idea of rebranding the Carmel Clay Schools District to the IB Business higher level classes and DECA members. And September, October, and November were mostly coming up with the tagline, working with Mrs. Taylor, the communications liaison of Carmel Clay Schools, working with the IB Business students to implement certain marketing curriculum that they learned into a real-life project, and we decided that the best way to go on with this project to collect to collect the data we need in terms of the insight that people have about our school district is to conduct focus groups. And December and January were all about conducting these focus groups. February, we analyzed the data and came up with something called word clouds, which we will go into a little more depth later. And along with those word clouds, we concurrently used the tagline for the criteria for what makes a good tagline that the students used to come up with a list of over 50 potential taglines, which we used a website to narrow down to 16. And those 16 taglines we used to narrow down to 8 using a March Madness bracket, which is something that all of you will do today. Now, to go on with word clouds, over here you see an example of a word cloud when it comes to a question that we asked in the focus group to every single focus group, which is if you had to choose one word to describe Carmel Clay Schools, what would it be? And the way to read this word cloud, I'm sure you all can guess how to read it, but just for explanation purposes, elaboration purposes, the most common words used were opportunity, diversity, engaging community, growth, achievement, big, of course, and diverse. And the way you know that is because the biggest words were the ones that were said most. And were you guys given a packet, each of you?
At the last meeting, we measured, not tonight.
Oh, okay. In your packet, you have 8 of these word clouds, which you will use to narrow down these 8 taglines to at most 3, along with the tagline for what makes a good criteria, which Thomas will now go over.
And if you guys have questions about the word clouds, we can pull those up a little bit later on because we have them electronically, because I know you guys probably didn't memorize all 8 of them. I haven't quite yet. But the tagline criteria, what we're looking for is simple, something that is applicable to everything. So we want something that doesn't just encompass one part of a school, but encompasses the entire district, all the way from elementary, middle, and high school. We don't want any fluffing material in there. We want it to be concise so that students can read it, they understand it, and it doesn't apply to just one school. It applies to all of them at once. From the 8 that we have here, we believe that they fit most of these criteria. As we got those 50 and we worked with the brackets, which we'll explain how you guys will do later on, we used these 7 different criteria to break it down to these 8. And so as we go through the process tonight, we're going to be looking to ask you guys, hey, how is this one actionable? Why do you believe that this one is universal? So please be free to speak your opinion. We want that feedback so we can figure out why you guys are leaning one tagline versus the other. So hopefully we can narrow it down to 2 to 3 or however many you guys choose you want us to do.
Okay, you guys will shortly be given the packet that I was referring to earlier. And what we'd like you to do is replicate the exercise that the classes did with the 16 taglines, except you guys are going to do it with these top 8 taglines. And as you guys go through this tournament bracket exercise, we would actually like all of you to come over here, pick a board, and write your decisions on one of these sticky Post-its, and we do have extra so all of you can, in fact, participate.
Yeah, so if you guys look at the packets, this is the brackets that we handed out in each of the classroom side. These students, so they have the same sort of thing, which is just a little bit bigger because we have 50 to work with. So you guys can feel free to use this topper here, kind of draft it out, think about it. If you want 1, 2, you can scribble that, pick any one you want on this copy. And then when you're ready, you can come find me or just raise your hand. I'll give you a marker. And then we're going to do the same thing, just on a bigger scale, so that when we're going through these taglines, you can see, hey, Mrs. Stanberg, why'd you choose 1 over 8? Explain a little bit more. So hopefully we can get down to a consolidated board bracket. So that's kind of our thought process. So if you want, you can feel free to do that. If you feel comfortable just diving in and going for the big version, I'm really happy whenever you guys can.
I have a question.
Yes, of course.
So I changed most of mine a little.
You changed most of your role.
Yes, so like embrace your excellence, but embracing excellence or embracing opportunity.
Okay.
I like bits and pieces of each of them, but not a single one really jumps out.
Okay.
I would do action. So
Well, and we
pull
can,
that out, or what do I do?
well, we can definitely talk about that later. I'd definitely like to hear your ideas about that.
Yeah, these aren't set in stone. These are just what our classes came up with. And if you guys don't like it or you really want to change it, if you want to tweak it and make it more actionable, fit the 7 criteria, I prefer you guys do that for sure.
Oh, yes. Well, you can pick a winner if you. Oh, so we just are being back for.
Yes,
You can use these two as
two more.
This is similar over here, but if you wanted to go ahead and choose like which tagline loves best, then you have like a tweaked version, you can go up to that one as well. If you didn't want to have to rewrite all of it. we could do that.
Are we just going to final four?
We have the one more clue.
Oh, is this for the final? That's the final.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Do you want to,
Oh, they can.
Yes, I changed it, but actually, Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I have the blue back here. Thank you. Yeah. Except for some allergies or. Huh? They're cutting the grass. No, that's right. I've been inside 4 or 5. Yeah, okay. So I went to 5. Lost your 7. I just left the 2. I think it's out of the other one. Well, I changed the wording a little bit. That's what I wrote down. The wording that I changed, I wrote down. But I couldn't decide, couldn't narrow down yet.
Even better. You don't want this to be an easy process. This will be fun.
I'm excited. I didn't change it. I didn't hear it. I like what you changed, but what you're saying.
Creating opportunities to play.
All right. Is everyone ready to move forward? Yes? Yes? Okay. Is there one board member or administrator who would be willing to stand up and explain their thinking as they went through and the process that they took with each decision? Perfect. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay. You want us to come over to, okay, use the mic.
You need a microphone.
Coach T, here you go.
Thank you. Okay. This one's my board, and there are some words in here on some of these that just didn't resonate with me. Excellence is one of them, because I feel like not everybody excels to excellence or reaches what I consider excellence, but your potential is different to achieve where you need to be or where you can be as a person rather than always excellent. So I tried to change this one to embrace your potential or embrace the opportunities. But find your future, as I went down through all of these, became very inclusive of everything, whatever your future holds for you, whatever you're going to do in life, your profession, what you're seeking to do in college. Finding your future, I think that's the important thing. Whether it holds college, whether it holds something like Ivy Tech, whether it is going into plumbing or some kind of industry, I think that's what you're looking for when you get into high school, is looking to find who you are and where you're going to go in life. So that's my thought.
Thank you so much. I noticed that one is more popular than except for Mr. Kirshner. Mr. Kirshner, would you mind explaining your thought process as to why you liked 8 better than 1?
Well, I looking at the clouds, I had 2 overarching things that came through to me. One is opportunity, and 2 is at all levels, and maybe the all levels is me, maybe that's not from the clouds. So I wanted to emphasize opportunities, and then, like Mrs. Spanenberg, I wanted it to be actionable. So I tweaked it to creating opportunities together as what was my number 1 at the end of the day.
Another thing I think we should keep in mind, especially in this context, is that our tagline, or the taglines that we at least narrowed down to, should withstand the test of time. Now, how do you think that tagline will withstand the test of time? How do you think it's going to be applicable 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20?
Well, I guess the question that we talked about a little bit afterwards was one of the characteristics you had was no three-word phrases. And so I think we need to clarify that. And then also, whether we're limited to, just one, whether the tagline could be something like the current tagline, which, not that I necessarily want 3 sets with 2 words each, but in order to be all-encompassing, I think that's hard to do with just a couple of words. But to answer your question, I think, what do we as a district do? And that's we create opportunity for our students for whatever that means, whatever time that means. One of my favorite sayings, and I think it's from Dr. Dudley, is that we're teaching students for jobs that don't yet exist. So opportunity, whatever that might be. And then I still think it's important that we meet each student where they're at. And like Pam said, that may be different for everybody. So that's why I kind of keyed in on all levels. And one of the other things that was in here was community and caring. And so that's why together, and just to quote Dr. Beresford, we're better together, is a motto for this year. So I think that's important going forward as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Kirshner.
I'm going, maybe, is it on? Yeah. To respond to yours in this discussion, one of the reasons I like Find Your Future out of those two is I feel like an elementary student knows what Find Your Future means more than creating opportunities or for great achievement or whatever. I feel like future, at least in my experience, maybe for my own children, future is a lot more understandable than what opportunity means. So I kind of thought that the Find Your Future, or however we want to phrase that, I didn't change it, but I like the more action way, is maybe across kindergarten to 12th grade can be better understood. Because I do think we want this to be something that can be embraced from our littlest learners all the way up. So that's just a thought.
Opportunity exists in the future.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree.
Then that sounds to me like a complete sentence. Maybe not short enough to be memorized.
Mm-hmm.
You say opportunities exist for the future.
Oh, no.
She was just saying
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I got already a new tagline.
When you say find your future, opportunities will be can be in part of that.
Do you want me to go on with what I did?
If you would like to.
Okay. I'm going to move. This is awkward.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate that.
Thanks. So this is mine. So then the next one is, I liked 4 and 5 a lot, so I couldn't pick one, but I reworded it. I said achieving together instead of together we achieve, and I said embracing excellence instead of embrace your excellence. So I just kind of reworded the phrasing a little bit. Yes.
Do you feel that taking out the word your doesn't make us personal and individual for each of the students? Why did you choose to take it out and just keep it embracing?
I thought it was awkwardly. I like your point, but I thought it was awkward.
Sure.
That was me. Embracing your excellence. I like the mindset there, but I thought it was more awkward phrasing. And then achieving together, that's the same, I think. And then on 2 and 7, I picked 7, and I said excelling without limits instead of we excel without limits. I thought it flowed better. And then 3 and 6, I picked opportunity awaits. Layla?
As you realize, I changed most of them because I wanted things to be more action-oriented. And the one that I did not particularly care for at all was actually number 2, the legacy of excellence. I feel like that is too far in the past. It's not really projecting to our future. I really liked finding your future, but I also, I don't know, I liked a lot of them. With tweaks, achieving together, embracing excellence, even embracing opportunity. And then number 7, I changed that as well to excelling without limits. So I suppose finding your future.
So what?
If I were to pick my one, I would probably, I'd like number 1 with a tweak.
So what value would you like to emphasize more in your tagline? Would you like the tagline to, how do I word this, sorry, to connect more to a sense of community, or more leaning towards being actionable and looking forward in the future, as you pointed out in the fact that legacy of excellence kind of is more in the past than in the future?
I like looking forward. Our students who are coming in are looking forward into what's next. And we are just the building block to what they're going to be doing in their future. And so what are we providing for our students? I mean, we do have our legacy of excellence. And because of that, our students will have greater opportunity for their future. So I would rather our tagline be more oriented for what is to come than what we've already done.
All right, and would anyone else like to comment on what value they'd like to emphasize more? Or I guess what value they'd like to emphasize the most?
I want to piggyback on that with the legacy thing. I think sometimes a legacy is a big burden to bear. I think sometimes, if you're following, a great act, it's tough. And so that's one of the things that I agree with you too, is I think Carmel Clay Schools is amazing, and we have an amazing history. But, like I just said, it's a tough act to follow sometimes. And so I would much rather to have a positive spin on it. Not that it's legacy of excellence is not at all a negative thing, but I think the finding the future, one of the other ones, I think does, set a course that someone can create on their own destiny. So.
And what about the idea of community? Because as Dr. Beresford said, we are better together, and that seems like a value that Mr. Kirshner wanted to emphasize in his tagline. So would anyone else like to comment on putting more weight into the idea of a community?
I haven't thought about community here, but I have my 2 cents here about why I choose number 7 and then change it a little bit, because what we see from the word cloud is opportunity, and really that's something stands out, and that's also from my conversations with community members. Many families here are attracted by Carmel School District because of opportunities for their kids. Well, if we only talk about excellence, like Pam said, not everyone can excel. And people very often think of excellence as the cream on the top. But recognize that many families moving to Carmel because of a special ed program, because of those opportunities exist for high school. So I really think that our tagline should stress about opportunities. So that's why I favor those that have opportunities in taglines. About finding the future, I'm not sure if people know what their future is, because future is changing, it's uncertain. And we talk about we are educating students for jobs that may not exist today, so people may not know about the future, but we do create opportunities for them. That's why I say opportunities without limits. But I haven't thought about how to incorporate community.
Well, there's definitely a lot of valuable opinions over here, and let's see if we can bounce those ideas off of each other and come up with a consensus on what taglines to eliminate, if not narrowing it down to one final tagline. Oh. Oh, so sorry, Dr. Beresford. Yeah, totally. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, totally. You're the boss.
He's going to bring it down so everybody can see it.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have mine. Oh, yeah.
We have extra paper. Catch the paper. Over.
Ooh, there's a hand. When I look through it, in my mind, before I say the tagline, I always say Carmel Clay Schools, and then say the tagline, because to me, we're trying to represent the essence of what Carmel Clay Schools, is, and so I always think Carmel Clay Schools, and then say the line. And one of my favorite ones was this one, except that I wanted to tweak it again because it was instead of you just go excel without limits. So it's Carmel Clay Schools, excel without limits. Now, when I think of excel and excellence in general, I don't think of it in terms of, be at the top of what, competing with everybody else in the world. I think of excellence as being excellent at whatever your passion is. If you're excellent at physics, then be a great physics. If you're excellent at fixing exhaust systems, be excellent at fixing exhaust systems. Whatever your passion is, whatever you love, be excellent at it. So it's not really a hierarchy kind of thing. But I do like Carmel Clay Schools excel without limits, because we do have a lot of opportunities, and because we have so many opportunities, to use another big word, large word in the word cloud. Because we have so many opportunities, we don't have a lot of limits. Kids can do and go. I've never been anywhere where, like this district, where kids can build a robot and go to world competitions, or go into business and go to world competitions, and that sort of thing. So the Excel Without Limits was attractive to me. The Carmel Clay School, our opportunity awaits. I love that one too, because that does play into that opportunity. The opportunity word, but it's not like we have all these opportunities. It's like at Carmel Clay Schools, what opportunities whatever you want to do, it's waiting for you here. And so anyone who comes here. I love Together We Achieve because of the word together. Because, if you look all through our school system, it's kids getting together and teaming up and collaborating. And whatever those jobs in the futures are going to be, I can guarantee you they're going to be collaborative. Because that is what we're hearing over and over again. We need people that know how to communicate, teamwork with other people, and be able to solve problems and achieve. So I like that one as well. But then finding your future, that's kind of our job, And even if it's a future we don't know about, our job is to get you guys in a position where you find your passions, you find what you're interested in, and it doesn't have to be figured out by your senior year in high school. But at least you've been exposed to an awful lot of things, and you can kind of start narrowing and finding your path of what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. So when I got to the Final Four, I struggled because and I was kind of finding my feet. I kept drawing arrows. I had a hard time. I could see an application for all four of those, like on a website, in different settings, like maybe in the student section, it maybe Together We Achieve, so picking one for the district, I was struggling a little bit. With a lot of people, I was leaning towards number one, but I really like to Excel Without Limits because it's just got a futuristic, we're pushing it on the cutting edge kind of thing. So now I'm good now. I just need to get that out. Take it or leave it.
I like Without Limits too, but I just think that our tagline should have opportunities there. So that's why I combine the opportunities without limits.
All right. So at this time, we're going to begin to start to consolidate and talk as a group. So if we'll look at this first section, I know the majority of people put number one, But if you'd like to discuss and kind of come to a group consensus between number 1, find your future, or a variation of that, as well as between number 8, creating opportunities for great achievement, or a variation of that, between the two of those, which ones you would like as a group to go forward. Yes, or a variation of the two, because I know that there are some modified ones.
And just to clear it up, all you guys chose number 1. Except me. That's fine. Each is okay. We didn't let you do it. It's gotta be.
Okay.
And we can go back and vary it once we kind of fix all of it that way. So we make it.
All right, and then jumping over and looking at legacy of excellence, and we excel without limits. So 2 and 7. Yes. I think everyone put not 2.
So there. Mine's XX, see, neither XX, neither one. Yeah.
All right. Number 4, together we achieve, and number 5, embrace your excellence.
Number four, together we achieve.
Okay. All right, and then number 3, empowering leaders through opportunity, and number 6, opportunity awaits. 6, okay. All right, and then looking at number 1 and number 4, find your future and together we achieve.
Oh, don't make us raise your hand. Choose number 1.
I think for me personally, the left side is my favorite, so it's hard. So achieving like the left side of the board. The West Coast.
Is that like a common opinion? Do a lot of people feel like between the two they'd rather look at the left side?
No, the opportunity awaits is on the other side.
This is tough, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult deciding which one's going to compare with what.
Okay, let's play on the other side first. Yeah.
Okay. We excel without limits versus opportunity awaits.
Opportunity awaits. I combine opportunity without limits. If we go with Katie's argument that we want a tagline to be understandable by younger age, awaits is definitely more advanced.
Can you say yours exactly?
I combine them, so mine is opportunities without limits.
Now, this may be a personal thing, so take it with a grain here, but the word opportunity has always bugged me in mission statements and things, because to me, it kind of sends a message is that, hey kid, you got all these opportunities, but we give you the opportunities, you got to make it happen, kind of a thing, which to me is almost a little bit of a cop-out. because I think our responsibility is to help kids find their future and to help kids excel in whatever they're interested in. So that opportunity words, saying we want to provide opportunities, explore opportunities to me, which is on the wall, is much better than find your opportunities or give you opportunities or something like that. That same thing with
And realize potential.
which is better than find your potential or something like that, because we have to take ownership of this. So Carmel Clay Schools, but that's just a personal bias.
What if we tweaked "We excel without limits" to Carmel Clay Schools excelling without limits?
Yeah, that's one of the things I
How about find your, Carmel Clay Schools, find your future and realize your potential.
It's too long. What's that?
I know, I know, but I like that
Just change our letters.
But find your future isn't up there. Just realize your potential. That's what we want them to do, right?
I asked my husband last night, well, I didn't ask him, I was telling him what we were doing tonight, and he's like, what's your tagline right now? And I was like, it's like these 3 sets of words that, like, I'm here all the time, and I didn't even know. So I think, like, the remembering part of that is so important, is that we want, your school board members should know what.
You just didn't memorize it.
I didn't memorize it. So, it's a silly story, but, the point is I think we want it to be more
Easy. Experience, explore, really.
Yeah.
And we noticed a lot of the, I don't think I met one high school student or teacher even that knew our tagline like right off the bat, and that's one of the biggest things. That's why we're looking for a
It's just
simple.
on my, maybe we could just use the first word of each one.
Excellent.
Experience, explore, and realize.
That's our 3 words that we didn't want to do. That was on the thing, right? Help us, Dr. Dudley.
So, well, coming back to what you just said about, it's our job to make sure the students have opportunities. My favorite was find your future, but is that just saying, okay, kid, go find your future, you've got these opportunities, or do we need to look at more of the together we achieve, because we're doing this together. It's not just here's your opportunities, or go find it, you have these opportunities, but we're going to do this together to find your future, but it's not, the tagline's not finding your future, just as it's not the opportunities. That's, as you were saying,
That's a good point. I like that.
And the word support was a big one, and a couple of the word cuts too.
Support.
And that's kind of ingrained in
This is good because my opinions are changing. I'm now leaning towards more. I did change it to achieving together, and then I like the excel without limits. But I'm kind of leaning more towards achieving together. Because I think achieve is a big word. I think most people understand what that means even at a young age. I think we throw that word around. And then together, yeah, that's like that's like on your first spelling word list. To get her.
Do you think we should do like a sticky note activity where we all rank our favorites and kind of see where the consistence line? And with the final 4,
So is there any one of the final, actually, you're reading it, I don't
Great. Well, okay, looking at these 4, is there a specific, I know that achieving together on that one, that version of that phrase came up as a group. Do you like that version better?
I think together we achieve has a ring to it. It's got a flow to it. And it's not, not going to be INGs or Carmel Clay Schools. Carmel Clay Schools, together we achieve.
Is there a different variation of Find Your Future that as a group you like?
Here's my only only problem with that one is like University of Phoenix is like find your wings. So that's I think one of the reasons I like the finding or changing it is because I kept thinking about their commercials.
Well, in Ball States, we fly, so there's a lot of flying going on out there right
Not
now.
fine.
But the nice thing, the thing I like about find your future is alliteration.
Yeah.
And it's got the find and future. And then yours personal, so it's find your future. So Carmel Clay Schools, find your future.
Is
That makes it an action.
It does help.
It makes it a verb. You know, I didn't know that.
is there one of the 4 that sticks out?
I was going to say, what about instead of together we achieve, together we succeed? No. I mean, achieve, success is something I think younger kids would understand more than achieve.
Pam, you just got to tell us how you feel. You got to quit beating around the bush.
She always beats around the bush.
Just give it to us straight.
Not if we looked at combining the word, because I've heard you guys say together a lot, like that, together and something in the future, like together and our future. I know it's a little wordy, but like, is there any way that, because I think, I agree with you guys, I think you guys are leaning more to the left side, because it's more actionable, it's more, you can relate to a lot of things. So between these 4, is there any way that you guys maybe could consolidate too and push that together?
I have a comment about together we. I thought they overlap a little. Together, we means together already as a community. So we don't need to have together and we together in the tagline at the same time.
How about find your future together?
Let's look at it from the negative side. Is there anyone that we would eliminate? Yeah, if we would eliminate out of these final 4, which one would we eliminate?
Well, I mean, now that you spelled out all that about opportunity, I could see that one fall.
Do you guys feel that number 4 and number 7 are similar in a sense, where they kind of overlap in a sense? That's together we achieve and we excel without limits? Or do you guys think those are different enough for you guys to keep it?
I said part of the Carmel Clay Schools achieve together.
Do I hear that that opportunity weights is off the board? Does anybody want that?
Okay.
Is there any advocates for opportunity weights? Okay.
Delete.
Ooh, you already put an X up there. That was fast. You're landing the plane.
AP exams are this weekend.
That's it. You guys got to land the plane so you can find your picture there. You go Excel with that?
So looking at the 3 that we have up there, do you see any similarities between 2 of them, 3 of them? I think we should get the 2 most different ones together to compare those 2. So do between 4 and 7, 1 and 4, 1 and 7, are there any similarities we're seeing?
I think 1 and 7 are the most alike.
Why do you feel that?
Because excelling without limits means you can go anywhere. Sky's the limit. And find your future is same idea. Whatever it is that that you come across or you find, so it's like limitless potential. So I think potential maybe is a good word to combine those 2. But then the 4 is the teamwork and collaboration aspect, which you still have potential because we're using the word achieve.
I may have an idea. because really our goal was to get to 3 or less, right?
2 to 3, however many that want.
Because what we're going to do with the 3 that we have, like if we just go with these 3 right now, what we're going to do now is transition and give these taglines to graphic artists and have them make a visual representation of kind of what these are. So it may be interesting to stop at 3 and then have them, have the graphic, the graphic designers take these 3 and then create whatever logo that might come out of those. And it may sway our opinions by the visual that we get from the, from the image of it. Because the artist will take these words and use them to inform what they're going to, what the logo might look like.
I would suggest that we give maybe a couple of versions of the last 3 tagline, last 3 finalists here. So like saying find your future, and we may use another word for future. So give a couple of options and to see which one turns out to be better. I was thinking about find your opportunity. Not anymore.
The more I think about it, I think school is about, if I can only name one thing, I think it is about finding your future. It's not so much achieving, you may need to achieve, but I think as much as anything, we're trying to create good citizens that they can get out of school and eventually and enjoy what they do every day. So the idea of finding what that is. So if it's in medicine, then they'll need to achieve, take courses in science and so forth. Or if they want to go into the trades and that's what they. I think it's all about doing something you really love, and the whole idea, it's not work if you like it. And so, for a child to go through school and really trying to determine whatever that is. Sometimes, it's well past K-12. Because I think there's any number of kids that achieve and then realize that, they may be able to get good grades, but maybe they're focusing more on that than what they really enjoy doing. That's all I got.
I think something that will really help make this exercise easier is agreeing on what values we want to emphasize in this tagline. Because I know meeting with Xander that you really want to emphasize the opportunity part, and a couple of you want to emphasize the community aspect of Carmen School, while a couple others of you want to emphasize the fact that there are no limits to what our future looks like. So I think that once we come to a consensus on what one, maybe 2 of our 2 values we want to include in our tagline, then we can narrow down the 2 or 3. How does that sound?
I think it's valuable just to have values, because that could be something else we could use to inform the visual side of it as well.
Okay.
Because those 2 represent some of the values of the work.
Okay, so like I said before, one of the values was opportunity, community, and limitless future.
Maybe we would like to take an approach to have it down to 3 taglines rather than coming up with a bigger list of words to consolidate down to. Out of those 3 taglines, why did you guys choose and what words stood out to you? What kind of themes were you saying? Like, find your future that goes along with blank instead of this. Let's use some food taglines that we have to kind of really consolidate the after this. And we can just go around the table, or you guys can shout out as you guys think about it.
Well, I like future because we have so many different opportunities. And with my 3 children all being very, very diverse in what they enjoy and their learning style and the support that they need, they have been able to be successful in their own right on so many different levels, which I think is fantastic about our school system. And it's not just for my children, it's all of our children. You know, we've got 16,000 students that we are trying to help them find their pathway and find their future through the opportunities that we provide. So that's why I really did like finding your future. So that's my 2 cents. I liked achieving together and excelling without limits. And not necessarily the excelling part, but the fact that we're unlimited. There are so many different choices and opportunity within the district. So if there's another synonym we could use in front of future, perhaps, I don't know. I don't have my thesaurus out. But those are my 2 cents.
I agree with what Leila shared, that everybody can find their future or on the path to find their future at Carmel. It's because we are providing them opportunities. So as you can see on the packet here, almost every page has the opportunity listed as one of the biggest thing here. But while I agree with Dr. Beresford saying about the interpretation of opportunities, but I think what we are doing here at Carmel is we provide opportunities and we help kids, we help students see opportunities. But I don't know how to have all those together.
Almost all of these come to fruition because of the opportunities kids have. They find their futures, they excel without limits, and they group with other students and achieve. So
I think
it really does package that, all the opportunities that we do have.
Yeah, I think what tells Carmel apart from other school districts nearby is the opportunities we have here. So that really says why we are doing better. We're more attractive to families.
So my rebuttal to that one is what I keep trying to think about is our guiding principles and how students are the center of every decision. And so I would love, not that would be it, but how that can obviously, and I think all of these are that, but that was one thing that's in my brain. And the opportunity thing, kind of what my problem with it is, I feel like that is for, I think kids appreciate opportunities, but I think when we say the word opportunity, I think as a parent, that's when my bells and whistles go off. Like, I want to hear that a place has opportunities. I want to hear that there's opportunities for my child. So all that kind of stuff. So I think that that's amazing. That's great. But I don't know if a child really necessarily, I think that opportunities matter, but I don't know if they think they matter. And I could totally be wrong. So that's one of the things is, if we're looking at this for students, which one of these is going to matter the most to them? So those are my 2 cents. Or 3 or 4, or how many I gave.
My turn, or anybody. For Find Your Future, it doesn't matter what your future holds. And again, we don't know what the future holds because job opportunities are going to be changing. And so as we take the kids through the school system, we are exploring all kinds of careers and college and career ready, and we're looking at all of those things where the kids go into athletics and music and many different forms of your future. Doesn't have to be all academic. And I like the word that you said, pathway. So that kind of hit me, and I was thinking maybe it would be Carmel Clay Schools' pathway to your future.
I would say, I would say
How
every
about
school
that?
district is the pathway to the future. But that doesn't make us stand out.
That's a lot.
You know, one of the things that we keep hearing over and over again from these three is the future and together. Is there a way, I'm wondering, that you can provide, find your future and together we achieve? Because together was another piece of that community. If you look at the word clouds, community comes up over and over again. Is there a way to take those two, and then the future is, what are we all about?
Well, you could do that. It would be Carmel Clay Schools, Together Your Future. Is that? No.
I think the words that the students have put together are pretty, the sound, I think they really have done a nice job of capturing those words. When we try to, it's kind of like when you go to hire candidates and interview them all, and you'd like to have like this about this candidate, that about that candidate, this about that. Well, you can't like piecemeal your candidates. You just got to pick one. I think they've done a nice job of giving it concise to the point. We're just struggling because we like aspects of all three, and we want to try to combine those three, but sometimes those combined, you actually lose all three. So unless we like out, these are pretty much, I could see
I like when it's
all those threes. It would be helpful if we could try to run order, these three, and then this is the end of the tagline and essence of Carmel Clay Schools. Part of this rebranding, but then it goes to the visual and logo, and I do feel very comfortable with bringing more than one, because we don't have to make this decision tonight, because we may, when we see the whole package, gravitate towards something different.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
I do. I have a question. So, are we using Carmel Clay Schools first and then the tagline? Because I think that. That's the way I made my choices. Okay. Was to think Carmel Clay Schools, find your future, or find your future here. If I was looking at it from an advertising or a marketing, it would be find your future here. Carmel Clay Schools excel without limits. Carmel Clay Schools together we achieve. To me, it'll be fascinating to see what artists do with it. Because, artists have that. You have to think of it how it will be projected. So like you're saying, if it's on a jacket, it's going to say Carmel Clay School, it's going to have the emblem and whatever that is, it's going to have a little tag on the screen. Website, same idea. But then the tagline also needs to stand by itself, so that it makes sense without the school. That's going to be its own thing. And the image needs to stand by itself. So if you don't have any words next to it, that it still makes sense. So it's like you need to all work together, and then they all need to work by themselves.
That's true.
Schoolhouse in the clouds. Find your future.
Schoolhouse in the clouds.
Yeah, write that down.
It's rhymes. It's pretty strong. Are you guys comfortable with that, though, where we just take these three, and then we'll see what comes out of the visual of it, and then we'll take that.
Well, when you all come to a consensus that you want to absolutely modify one to include one word, we can all agree that one of them sounds better a different way, and I can agree on the exact same thing, and it's really up to you if you want to change it. Don't feel obligated to stick to what these are just because we came up with it. We were supposed to guide you guys to the basic idea of the company tagline. Then if you guys want to modify it a little bit with a unanimous consensus, then we have no problem with that.
Just to be clear, I wasn't doing that because of feeling sorry for you or anything. I really do like them. These are really good. So I appreciate you're humble about it, but these are really good. And so and we have this group has no problem with changing things if they want to.
Well, I don't think anyone in the group except the two of us can see what's on the board. I mean, I'm comfortable with what's up there. Carmel Clay Schools, ... Find your future. We excel without limits. Together we achieve.
When you're recapitalized,
Of course.
we're using all three? No.
The suggestion was we're going to give all three to the graphic designer and not make a decision. We're just narrowing it from 8 to 3.
Are you having a spring?
The whole word or just that first?
Visually, it looks better if these aren't sentences, if that each word is capitalized. Okay. And all.
Now, also we'll see it graphically, like in
Well, it should
typeface.
be, find your future, excel without limits, together we achieve. Because otherwise, the we in the front just doesn't make it.
Take out, please.
Thank you.
There we go.
This we as well, and together?
No.
Leave it.
We'll leave that. But it wasn't at the beginning of the sentence. So.
I would be okay with it.
Well, one more comment I have. When you all presented at the school board meeting, and you talked about everything that you went through and how you talked to the students and when you went into the classrooms, and you talked about, you presented it in the way that the future just kept standing out in your presentation. And so I remember even during your presentation that find your future hit me. So just from what you said and how you presented it and how you talked about you going into the different schools and the kids' reactions and things. So just thought I'd throw that one out.
That's
Well, since we need to land the plane here, I do want to say a few things. First off, I want to show just our appreciation and thanks to Chard Reed and Josh Shelton, the advisors who both have worked on this. We started with Chard, and then we finished with Josh, and they both did an outstanding job. Also, Courtney Taylor couldn't be here tonight. She's got a sick kid, and she put in a lot of work as well in this. But the biggest kudos goes to these three leaders first, and then to expand upon their teams because they did a lot of work in this, and they are very busy people. And this is a huge project for them. And very few schools, I think, have kids in a business that qualify for the top 10 in the world. As working for them and putting together this kind of a project for a school district. So I'm so proud of you guys, and please convey that myself and the board, all of us here at the ESC are very proud of you and thankful for your work here. And like I told you in the cafeteria at Clay Middle School, this could be something that will last for a long time, and really appreciate your work and your just taking this project and your professionalism and your work to narrow it down. This is not an easy business, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, so is there a way to use